Hey everyone, it's Sarah here. Welcome back. Yeah, I seem to pick the days I look the ugliest to film, and I just figure I'll just keep going with that, whatever. So this is my wrap up for September 2017. I read 14 things this month, which was great. I didn't do so well in the beginning of the month, but then I went away on vacation and sat on the beach for a while and read a couple of really fun things. I read and caught up on a couple of series this month, so I think I'll start with the standalones because they'll go like a little bit quicker, I think. For historical romance, I read The Wicked Wedding of Miss Ellie Fine. That's what it looks like. I read it on my Nook. I've had it on there forever. It's a horrible picture. It's by Jane Frezina. I hated this book a lot, and that's saying something because I can pretty much like any little romance novel. But I did not like this. It tried to be feminist in a time where it was just a bit much. Their dialogue was awful. Their relationship was awful. I hated both the characters. I did not like it. It was the first book in a series. I will not be continuing with this. I don't even really want to say anything else about it because I didn't like it, so I don't want to think about it anymore. I also read Slaughterhouse-Five by Kurt Vonnegut, and I don't really know what to say about this other than it was brilliant, and yet I hated it. So I gave it 4 stars. And if that makes any sense to you whatsoever, then you've obviously read this book. It's the story of Billy Pilgrim, and you start out with him as a soldier in World War II, and he becomes like unstuck in time and he gets abducted by aliens and things like that. And you basically see his whole adult life in very short segments throughout the whole book. And it was really, really cool and very weird at the same time. This did teach me a lot about the bombing that took place in Dresden, because of course I had to then look it up. If you haven't read this book, I would definitely recommend it. It is a classic, modern classic. I don't think it's technically a classic yet, but definitely a modern classic that is worth reading. Do I think that they necessarily should read it in school? I don't know if most of the kids are actually ready for this, so I think this is more of an adult read. I think you'd get much more out of it as an adult. I know I wouldn't have gotten much out of it as a child. I also read You Will Know Me by Megan Abbott. I believe this is a young adult novel. I've never read anything by Megan Abbott before, and this is kind of like a mystery thriller, which is not typically my genre to read. I really enjoyed it though. It is centered around an elite gymnastics team, and there is a murder of one of the coaches, one of the younger coaches, and through the book you kind of figure out all these secrets and things that are going on. What really makes this book interesting is it's not from the young girl's point of view, it's from the mother's point of view. As the mother of a teenage daughter, I feel the frustration that you do not know necessarily what is going on in your children's heads and in their hearts, and this woman had a lot of secrets being kept from her, and so it was very interesting how it was done, and I really enjoyed it a lot. Now on to some of the series I caught up on or finished. I caught up on the Locke and Maury series by Heather W. Petty. If you remember, if I actually put up my September TBR, I can't even remember whether I actually put it up or not, but this was a series I didn't intend to keep reading. I read the first book and it was just okay. Then I got this in a book box, and so now I have to read it. This book was also just okay, but it ended on a cliffhanger, which means I have to get the 3rd book when it comes out next month. So, because I do want to know now that I'm in the midst of this series, what in the world happens. So the boy his name is actually Sherlock Holmes, and her last name is Moriarty, and her father keeps trying to kill her, and it's very, very dark. It is young adult. Yeah, it's not really my thing personally. I don't really like their relationship. I don't really like anyone's relationship. I don't like any of them very much, but I now need to know because now, Maury is in peril, and the next book doesn't come out for next month. So I will be reading the next book. I believe it is the final book in the trilogy. I gave it 3 stars. It is what it is. While I was at the beach, I caught up on one of my favorite cozy mystery series currently, and that is Diane Kelly's, I don't even know what it's called, but they're Against the Paw, Above the Paw, and Forcing the Paw. These are absolutely adorable. All 3 of them were very, very cute. It is about a police officer who really wants to make detective. She is dating a member of the bomb squad, but the romance aspect do take second place to the actual crimes that she's investigating in these books. These are not frequently murders. She frequently has some very interesting cases like Peeping Toms. There is the last one was a little bit more serious because it was a drug ring, so that one was a little bit more. And her partner is a German Shepherd named Bridget, and you get to hear Bridget's voice every once in a while, little short chapters from her point of view, and it is quite amusing. And was delightful to be reading on the beach. Let's just be honest. This was a lot of fun reading. It was escapist. It was great, and I needed this. And then I went and finished the Mother-Daughter Book Club series. All of these. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The last 6 of the series. I had only read the first book, and now I have read the rest of them. This series is absolutely adorable, and it follows a group of girls who wouldn't all necessarily be friends if not for this mother-daughter book club that their yoga-doing parents put together in 6th grade. The first book takes place in 6th, then we have 1 book for 7th, 8th, and 9th, 2 books for 10th grade, and then this last one is the summer before they all go to college. These are a middle grade series, and part of the reason why I didn't rate them so high is because I don't think that the middle grade audience is very interested in some of these older books. And so they fall kind of into like this middle category of probably not being picked up by people, because they really should cross over the genres and age groups. But these last books are not incredibly deep. A lot of the books deal with bullies and mean girls, and I mean, you deal with those sorts of people throughout your entire life. I mean, we probably all still know a mean girl. But they don't really tackle harder issues in the high school years, such as dating and sex, which are things that girls that age might have to deal with. And they all do have some dating going on here. They do date boys. It is very G-rated. But I just can't imagine that a 5th or 6th grader is going to want to read about these girls. What I really did like about it was all the girls had very different personalities, and I think that the author writes girls and young people very well, what's in their brains. You know, right down to the petty, even when they're becoming mean girls themselves and excluding people, and just the whole thought process of young people is very well depicted in these books. I also appreciate that there are obviously involved parental figures in these books, because it is a mother-daughter book club. They all read the same book, the mothers and the daughters, all together as a group over sometimes the course of a year and sometimes not. But overall, I loved this series. Like, I really wish that a club like this actually existed. And one last audiobook that I listened to is The Island of Dr. Libris by Chris Grabenstein. And I listened to this with my daughter on the way up and on the way back from the beach. It is not a very long audiobook, which was just what we needed. I don't know how long the physical book is. I don't think it would be very long. I really enjoyed this book. I do recommend the audiobook version because he does some really funny voices. This follows Billy, who goes to this mysterious cabin with his mother that is owned by this Dr. Libris, who the mother works with for the summer. And basically whenever he opens up a book, it starts coming to life on this mysterious island out in the middle of the lake. And we kind of go from there. It is very, very fast paced. It is very imaginative, and that's what this book is all about, imagination. I, of course, like it because it's about books, which obviously I love books. It does obviously have a male protagonist, so it would appeal to boys as well as girls. My daughter enjoyed it as well, and she's 13, so go figure. The downsides, there's not really involved parenting in it. Like, as an adult looking back, his parents are going through a divorce, his father's not even there, his mother is like a math nerd or something like that, so she is just like, oh yeah, go paddle to the island. Yeah, that does not happen in real life. I'm sorry. No. The boys never paddled a boat before and you're going to ship them off into the middle of a lake to an island? I don't think so. But so parental figures are kind of non-existent. But as for an adult listening to this, there's mayhem and fun, but there's not a ton of fart jokes or anything like that where adults would be like, this is way too much for me. So I think it would please both audiences. So if you have children and you like to listen to audiobooks, I definitely would recommend it for you. And so that's my wrap up. I did pretty good. And now I'm going to go and start reading some more North and South. I will see you all again later. Bye.